What's going on, YouTube? EXO here. Uh, Coming today with a video from my second account. I kind of want to talk about some things that I see that small and medium-sized players do. And when I mean small, I mean like, this point in the game, small is 10 bill and below, maybe even 15 bill and below, but mainly like probably your 10 bill and below guys, the guys that aren't quite K40 yet. And a lot of this applies to up to K40 because we don't, K45's only been out for a couple weeks, and we really don't know the scale of how bad or good it's going to be. So, one thing, some things that I noticed a lot of smalls do is they hoard things on their accounts instead of using them. So, and the reason I kind of picked this account to look at is my second account because I do I hoard things on here because I really don't play the account, and then I let everything build up for a while, and then I'll come in, like once a month and burn everything. But like if you're playing your main account, like one of the things is you should be playing the game by consumes. So right now we're in resource consume, and you see I did 10 billion, 9 billion, 9 billion, and 7.4 billion. Like if I was really taking this account seriously, I should have never went past 5 billion each. I should have stopped there, and because I can't hit 10, 10, and 10. So the best thing would do is to see where you're at. Don't spend your resources till the last few days of the event. Stack it up all week and get as much as you can. And if you can't hit 10 billion each, don't do anything past 5. Like get up to 5 billion each. Get your resources for that. Say you have 8 billion each. Save that other 3 billion towards next event, and then next event you'll be able to hit that 10 billion. You might even get 12 billion. Well, that next event, consume event, only use 10, and that saves you 2 towards your next 10 or possibly 20. Another thing that you used to do back when I first started, when it was only a 5 billion consume, is skip one consume, and then the next consume you'd have over 5 billion plus all these resources you got back, so you could basically from then you skip one consume, and from then on you could finish every consume. I'm not really sure if you can do that anymore with a 20 billion, but you can definitely do that with a 5 and the 10. Gem consumes kind of the same. Don't be spending gems that you don't need to unless it's a gem consume on the resources or the speed consume. So like if get to 500k or 200k, whatever your budget is, and then don't spend past that. Don't get to 750,000 and can't get to a million. Stop at 500. Kind of the same with speed consume. Like I want to upgrade to military academy 2 if I had the resources. I would start I could start a bunch of buildings now, so start it now. Start that now, and then start like the rally spot 37 now, or 36, sorry, and save those until resource consume or speed consume starts next weekend, and then use it. Then you get more resources back. So that's one thing I see a lot of small players doing. They don't really follow the consumes all the time. They see big players growing all the time, so they think they can. But if you're not spending or you don't have a ton of alts, you know, you're not going to be able to. You're not going to be able to do it like a big. Another thing is make sure before the end of the event, save all or spend all your spins. You don't get a lot of stuff. You're not always guaranteed these big ones, but you get something. Super feeding. I would be feeding my dragons. I feed my dragons daily, but I would heavily feed them on the super consume, event and get the gems, get the dragon coins, the fragments, and things like that. Spend, maybe refresh your one dragon you're pushing. So, like for me, I've been lazy, but I should have been feeding this one daily. So, like, I'll feed this one everything, and then I'll refresh this one several times, I might refresh it to about there, and then I'll only feed this one maybe, one, just a couple. I might refresh it once and then be done with it. But you want to, on the non-super or non-dragon feed days, maybe feed every dragon one round and only refresh it one time. But on the dragon or the super feeding consume, feed them every time. Try to get your points up here. Try to get up to higher rank. Try to get some of these better rewards. Get some gems back and some of these dragon sources. And then a big thing I would take out of here is these tactic scrolls, because you're always going to need those, especially if you're not a big coiner. If you're free to play or a very low spender, or even a medium spender like myself. I consider myself kind of a medium spender. I need tactic scrolls still, so I always take those. Crafting master. I really, this is a newer one. If you're still making sub gear, yeah, save for this. But honestly, I'd just craft your gear when you need it. Make sure you're hitting that daily free spin there. Another thing, one of the things I've always noticed, and I used to do it when I first started, and my coworker that actually got me started on the game, he would give me shit about it, because I'd be like, oh yeah, I've got 5 billion of each resource saved up, and I'm gonna do so good and blah blah blah. And he would just tell me, he's like, yeah, but what good does having 5 billion resources doing sitting in your inventory like this? You're not using them because it's just sitting. And in the past, in the past, I've acquired accounts from people, and literally these guys, like, I acquired a main account and 3 farm accounts from a guy, and I think this was pre K40 or right at K40 release. I can't remember. But I got 4 accounts from this guy that quit. He was like K33, and when I went through the account, he had so much stuff in his inventory and on the alt accounts, I ended up totaling up 40 billion of each resource sitting, just not being used. And he was a K33. And he was like, oh, well, I can't grow. One of his excuses on quitting was he couldn't grow. But he wasn't burning his resources. But he had resources to get, 2K35. And he was only like 300 million power. But he had the resources to get to K35. Still have tons of resources left. Probably unlock all T14s. And then start building power. But instead, he likes seeing, and I picked this account because I kind of hoard on it. He likes seeing all these boxes, and I've recently opened them, so I don't have as many as I normally do, but he'd come in like all these material chests. He likes seeing the big stacks, 16,000, 7,000. He likes seeing those big stacks. But that's how you don't grow. You need to be opening all this stuff up and using it. Especially when I was growing and pushing, my first year of the server, every day I'd come through every single day, open all these up, all these chests, get all these chests open, the flowers, all these other chests. I'd open everything up every single day. And because that gives me resources, research stones, refined stones, speeds, etc. But a lot of it is getting the Monarch gear. You get tons of Monarch gear from that stuff. You get tons of these Wheel of Fortune tokens. I know guys in my alliance now they're small guys. They've got millions and millions of the Wheel of Fortune tokens, and they won't spend them. In reality, they would get so much Monarch gear, so much resources. They'd get tons of gems. They're always saying they need gems. They'd get so many gems. They get so many materials that they'd be able to increase their game. You just have to spend it. So, like I said, when I was growing, every day I come in here and I was opening everything up and constantly getting all the materials that I could daily, because you're wanting, the things you do early on is you build gear for your sub troops. Achaemenid gear, that takes materials. So every day I was opening my chest at the end of the day trying to get the next piece of Achaemenid gear to get more debuffs. Or if I was still trying to build a wall general, wherever my wall general is, this one, if I was still trying to build a wall general, I could get the material, and just every few days I could build a new piece. So within, a week, 2 weeks, I had the full set done because I was opening my stuff daily instead of hoarding it. Another thing is a lot of people, they don't open these chests, and you just don't get the gold for the tech. You don't get the stones. You don't get the resources you need. Like I said, spinning the Wheel of Fortune like this, 300,000 might not seem a lot. But it is quite a bit of spins, and it don't take but, 2 minutes to sit here and spin this. So after this video is done, I'll spin this token, the rest of these tokens, and get some stuff to upgrade. But as you can see, just one upgrade. Look at all those books. All this blue gear can be taken and disassembled for materials. Look at the Monarch gear. All that Monarch gear. Spirit Beast. There's stamina, tributes, gems, speeds. Like all this you're missing out on. And if you've got millions of tokens, you're missing out on thousands and thousands of these things. So just burn them. Another thing is so we don't know with K45, obviously, but up to K40, once you got past that K35 hump of needing the generals, for the power, really the sweet spot for defense started around K38. So we were having all of our guys rush straight to K38, get Military Academy 3, and, Military Academy 1 and 2 is really cheap. Like, I finished this on this account literally in 5 minutes. This is Military Academy 1. That's all there is to it. Now I need 2, but we would push in Military Academy 3. That takes, the first and second one doesn't take too long. The third one takes a little bit. You might be working on it for a month or 2. And then once you get that one done, and hopefully by then, your rally spot's already up to your keep level 38. Once your Military Academy 3 is done, if you think, oh, well, I've got another month to max out Academy 3, go ahead and build a little troops. Spend 2 weeks, spend that next consume event and build some troops, put on a little bit of power, because by now your defense is kind of, worked its way up with that Academy 3, so you can afford to put on some power. And then start saving for that next consume event to go to K39, and then do the same. Get Academy 4. And once you're in Academy 4, especially if you're a free-to-play or a very low spender, it's going to take you so long to get the tactic scrolls to max that out. You'll be at 39 for a long time. There's no reason to go to 40 unless you're just to cherry pick, some of the tech. And that's kind of what I did, is once I got very late stages of Academy 4, and I mean late, some of these, let's see. So that's Academy 4. I would max all these 3 of 3s, but these 25s, all of mine would be at 20. And by then, the tactic scroll cost and the gold cost and speed cost is insane. So it was easier for me to go to Military Academy 5, get cheaper gold cost, tactic scroll cost, and speed cost, and get the same percent or more. So but you'll be stuck at Academy 4 for a while. And then while you're stuck there, like I said, you're upgrading your rally spot to 39. You might take your embassy up a few levels so you can, take more reinforcements. Like this account, it needs a couple more levels to get, maybe 20 million reinforcements. Taking your shrine up a level or 2, and then also putting on power. 38 and 39 is where you really want to start putting on some power, get up, 5 to 7, 8 billion. And at that point, your T1 wall should be pretty well done and taking its course. Another thing is, don't forget, I've kind of neglected it, but, feed these spirit beasts, especially if you're going to use them. Like this one, I should be feeding this one, or it's maxed out, and I should be trying to focus to get this to the next quality, because it's got debuffs in it. And the seals now, here I am, I've got some seals saved up that I could use on this one to get some extra buffs. So and then the Council of State, I probably got a general just sitting around. That's technically, I think Triggs is my ground general, but you probably have a ground or a general, some generals sitting around not doing much. Just level them, put 5 stars on them, toss them on here. It gives you a few extra buffs, 4%. So, but 4% is better than nothing. But the main takeaway in this is, don't let anything stack up. Follow the consume events. When you follow consume events, you grow, because you get you get items back. Don't blow past, like I said, don't, if you can't get 10 billion or the 20 billion, try to only do 10 billion. If you can't get 10 billion, only do 5 billion. If you can't get to 5 billion, I would be saving. I wouldn't do anything below 5 billion. I would save at least 5 billion of each. And then next consume, do, 5 billion of each. But like I said, that's one thing I see a lot is small players are, well, I can't grow, but then, they may quit, or they'll let it slip, and they'll share their um a screenshot of their inventory, and they've got tons and tons of stuff saved up, and it's just like, well, you could be growing, but you just don't want to spend it. And early on, another big thing is the black market, and doing like I was here, just refreshing and buying some of this Monarch gear. It's way cheaper to buy a level 4 at $13.50 than it is to come up here to I think it's the war tab, or maybe it's special. Yeah, then it's way cheaper to buy a level 4 in the black market than it is buy 30 of these or 100 of these to make one level 4. So you want to spend early on, daily buying some of these. Also, patrolling, same thing. It's super cheap to buy the gear and the patrol. Early on, I spent hours and hours and hours in here, and so like right there, level 1's 30. Well, in the gym store, it's 200. So early on, I spent hours and hours and hours, spinning this. And people are always like, well, how is your buff so much better than mine? I'm a higher level than you. That's how. I spent the time, I'd spend maybe half an hour a day, for the first 6 months, just spinning this thing. It's not a ton, but it does add up over time. And on my main account, I've now, with all the new pieces, these newer pieces coming out, some of them are better than these old ones. But like on my main account, they're all level 9s. Even on this alt, they're all level 8s. I kind of did the same thing, or the other person did the same thing. So, but yeah, I guess kind of get annoyed when I see people, the small guys. Oh, well, I can't grow. And then, like I said, you see they're just hoarding. And yeah, you can't grow when you're a hoarder. It looks cool to have all that stuff, but at the same time, if you want to grow, you got to burn the stuff. You can't just hoard it. So, like I said, just follow events, and that's the best way to do it. I'm not a patient person in life. I can't, I have a hard time being patient with people and sitting and waiting around. But when it comes to this game, it was complete opposite. Like, back when I first started and it was K35, and somebody said, well, skip a consume event and skip one consume event, and you'll be able to make every consume event after that. And so that's about 5 weeks, 6 weeks. I did it one time, and they wasn't lying. I was able to, make the consume events after that at 5 billion each, after, just skipping one. So I was just patient, waited the month and a half, was able to get my resources needed, and, that's what all I had to do. Another thing is these mysterious witches, you don't want to forget to use them at the end of an event, because I'm going to go ahead and grab it real fast. These pies, if you look in here, there's a lot of good stuff. Actually, they've added a chance to that. But if you open this, like those Dragon Source fragments is great. Those gems are great. The Blood of Ares is great, especially for free to play. And see right there, I got in the runestones, Blood Ares, the gems. So I got 3 of the 4 good things out of that one. And if you're joining rallies, a lot of the times you can get quite a bit of those per week. So on that note, if you're coining still, use Aptoid, Evony, or promo code is code 5, all capitals. That'll get you up to 25% off. And I've got another video idea coming that I'm gonna record here pretty quick, and it'll be out after this one. So y'all check it out, like, subscribe, and catch you later.